a city that is starkly divided along religious grounds. When I was 19 or 20, just turned 20, I was in India on a trip to evangelize, to tell people about Jesus. And I was in Mumbai, or it was called Bombay then, city of 20 million people. And one day I got into a taxi with a Muslim taxi driver. And I thought, this is my opportunity to talk to him about my faith. He asked me where I'm from, and I said, I bet you've never heard of it. It's this tiny little country called Northern Ireland. And he said, Northern Ireland, that's the place where the Christians are killing each other. And suddenly my stomach, sank, and I realized I wasn't going to do a very good job of getting him to join my religion. Over the years, I realized that my job wasn't but it's about sharing the love of God. So I used that as maybe just a little introduction to give you the context of where I'm from. Maybe some of you have been there. But in the same light, I remember shortly before my dad died, he gave me a book he was reading by Jonathan Sacks, who's a wonderful Jewish rabbi, a writer. And he wrote these lines, religion is like fire, and like fire it warms, and we are the guardians of the flame. And so in my city, in my country, I now live right on the Irish border, in a big center that's known for peace and reconciliation. We are very conscious of how religion can be something that actually can destroy. But of course, I strongly believe it can be something that can set the world alight with new life. And of course, that's what we should all be about. As I reflected on what I should say today, I decided that what I would do is tell a story. I'm sure many of you either know about Northern Ireland, or you could go on Wikipedia and you can find out all you want. But let me take it in a slightly different way, that maybe is a slightly different way of looking at our conflict. Because I think that almost every country on earth has some kind of conflict. And underneath those conflicts is a story that actually can be unfolded. From my country, this is the story. And it comes in the form of a dream that a friend of mine had. So let me tell you. He had a dream that there was a family getting their photo taken. Like when you have a family portrait. And everyone looks nice, like I'm wearing a suit today. No one can believe it on Facebook that I'm wearing a suit, And in this family portrait, there's a husband and a wife having a photo taken with their little son. And in this dream, my friend was watching, and he thought, this husband and this wife, they don't like each other very much. And actually, that kid, he's a very naughty kid. And as he looked, he realized the little boy, was longing for his father's attention. But he wanted nothing to do with the mom. But the mom was desperately wanting to hold the boy and wanting to grab his attention. But the boy didn't want anything to do with the mom. And in the dream, he also noticed that the husband and the wife really hated each other. They didn't even look at each other. There was just this coldness. They were sitting together, but they despised each other. In the dream, he began to be aware of maybe a meaning of what had happened in the story. He felt that the story was that this husband had actually been an abusive man. And before they had been married, he had raped this woman, and she had become pregnant with an illegitimate child. And that after that happened, they were forced to be married, but they didn't want to be. And of course, this child grew up with an identity crisis. Who am I? And the father didn't actually care less about the child. But for the mother, the child was hers. But the child didn't want anything to do with the mother. Just wanted to be with the father. That's a funny story. What does that mean? Well, in my friend's dream, it went on, and he felt that this was a dream about Britain and Ireland. And not to cause offense to anyone, this is just a dream, and this story. But that Britain was the father, and he had raped the mother, Ireland. And the mother had given birth to a little child, which was the people of Northern Ireland, who were struggling for identity. Who do we belong to? For half of them, they want to be British. Half of them, they want to be Irish. And they will kill each other as a result. And I would say in most countries, there is some kind of story like that. It may not be exactly the same story, but it's a story of relational breakdown. And it's a story of brothers, sisters, abuse, unforgiveness. In this dream, my friend felt like a compulsion from God to give counseling to this family. And so the first thing he said was he felt that he had to go to the man, Britain, and say to him, "You have done something terrible. There will never be peace in this family until you take responsibility and say sorry." And then he said to the woman, Ireland, "You have been very deeply wounded and hurt, but actually you will never be able to reach your full potential as a person until you can actually forgive and walk in the way of forgiveness. And actually your little child needs to know who he is. His identity is very important because all of us have an identity. I started off by saying I'm a Kiwi Irishman. You know, I wear my All Blacks jerseys except for last week when Ireland beat the All Blacks the first time. Identity is an issue. And you see in my friend's dream, he started giving family counseling to a couple. As a result of that, this actually was a real story. This is a dream about 20 years ago. He was able to tell the story in the House of Lords. And no one knows exactly the train of events, but soon after that, Tony Blair got up in the House of Commons and representing the father in the story, he said, "We are sorry for what the British have done to the Irish over the last several hundred years, including the potato famine." And several years later, the Irish president welcomed the British Queen just only a couple of years ago to Ireland. The first time a British monarch being into the Republic of Ireland. The president welcomed the Queen and said, "You are welcome here." And then the Queen even met Martin McGuinness, who was very involved in the IRA and was now the Deputy First Minister in Northern Ireland. I don't know whether you kind of follow that train of events, but in some ways, from a governmental level, they enacted the counseling needed to happen in that dream. A father needed to say sorry, a mother needed to forgive, and the little child that is broken and bruised and searching for identity needs to be helped to understand who they are. Last year, I was in Bosnia, which is another one of these countries that has similar stories. A small Catholic population, Muslim population, and an Orthodox population, Orthodox Serb population. When we were there, we saw in Sarajevo the results of the siege that happened there. And we also went to Srebrenica, where nearly 8,000 young Muslim men were taken into the woods and killed by Orthodox Serbian soldiers. Many of them with the Lord's Prayer in their pocket, and Bibles in their pocket. Some of them had holy water sprinkled on them before that massacre. The city of Mostar, which is a divided city between the Catholic side and the Muslim side. And during the war, from the hilltops, the Croatian Catholic soldiers bombed the Muslim side of the city. Sorry, I'm not ganging up on the Catholics or the Muslims. We're all, we've all done very many bad things in that war. But then after the war, the Catholic population, the Croatian population, has built a very large cross on the exact same spot where the artillery fired down onto the Muslim side. And it wasn't a gesture of peace. It was a sign that said, "We blew you up and we'll do it again. And this is our cross. This is our identity." It's quite for me as a Christian, it's a very painful sign. If you ever Google Mostar and you see this image of this cross looking down, it's a symbol of conquest and dominance. It is the very opposite of what the cross was meant to be about. Then in Philippians 2, we see what Tom Wright talks about in his latest book. Jesus' journey to the cross was a descent downwards into hell, by which he reconciled the broken, fractured cosmos, and as a consequence of which, in Philippians 2, it says God raised him to the highest place. The cross was not just a symbol of killing someone, it was a symbol of power. For the Romans, it was their way of exerting power and dominance and degrading their enemies. It was a brutal execution device. But for Christians, we believe that that was God showing us what he looked like. The writer Brian Zahnd said, God is like Jesus. God has always been like Jesus. There was never a time when God was not like Jesus. We haven't always known that, but we do now. Jesus stood in front of his people saying, I and the Father are one. If you have seen me, you have seen the Father. In the book of Hebrews, it says, we have heard many stories in the prophets, but one time there has come Jesus, who is the perfect, exact representation of what God looks like. And so, for me as a Christian, we wrestle with the legacy of how religion can actually cause division. But I think we need to get back to the reality that actually the cross was the ultimate sign of humility, of a God